Hello everyone and welcome to UNSW's Year 10 information session where we talk subject selection. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge the Bedegal, Gadigal and Ngunnawal people who are the traditional custodians of the land in which UNSW campuses reside on. I would also like to pay my respects to the elders both past, present and emerging, and extend that respect to other Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders who are joining us today. My name's Gabby and I am the Events and Recruitment Officer within the Domestic Undergraduate team. We have the pleasure of providing all information you need to make an informed decision about your university choices. Now, what to expect from this Year 10 information session? Well, we'll help you navigate the HSC subject selection process, explain how UNSW admissions and scholarship applications work, and give you insight onto transitioning into that university life so that you can get a head start on planning your future. We will conclude the session with a Q&A with some of our current students, so make sure you are ready with your university questions. UNSW was founded in 1949 as a technical institution to focus on science and engineering after the war, due to a shortage of Australian workforce. Since then, we've come a long way and have over 60,000 students taking more than 300 degrees and degree combinations. So it's safe to say we've made some serious progress. In 2024, we have risen to a top 20 global university and are ranked first in Australia for both sustainability and employment outcomes. We have also the highest number of graduates in the AFR Top 100, most employable graduates, and produce the most CEOs of any university in Australia. We're making global connections too, with over 300 exchange partners in more than 35 countries. We'd love for you to join us and keep making progress for all. Speaking of university, I want to introduce some key acronyms that will help you, not only through tonight's information session, but throughout your senior years in high school. Now, first acronym is UAC, which is University Admission Centre. Second is ATAR, Australian Tertiary Admission Rank. And last but not least is LSR, which is the lowest selection rank. UNSW refers to LSR often, which is part of the admissions process into UNSW. LSR is your ATAR plus any adjustment factors you may have. Now, without any further ado, we will start with our special guest, Wendy Fisher from UAC, University Admission Centre, who will talk further details about the HSC and subject selection.
Hello and welcome to our presentation all about the ATAR and subject selection. The University's Admission Centre, or UAC, processes applications for over 30 different universities and institutions in New South Wales and the ACT. We administer 3 access schemes, and you'll learn more about these in Years 11 and 12. Importantly, we calculate the ATAR for all New South Wales HSC students. Over the next 2 years, you'll be working to achieve your HSC, which is your first qualification. To prepare you, it's good to know the differences between the HSC and the ATAR results. They're both measures of achievement, but they'll be reporting to you in 2 different ways. Your HSC results will report on your performance against NESA standards, and your ATAR will report on your position within your cohort based on your HSC performances. If you think of the HSC as being a race, then your HSC results would represent your finishing time in the race, and your ATAR would represent your finishing place or position. To succeed in your HSC, it's important to study hard and improve your performances in all your courses. Your performance is the only thing you can control, so give it your all. By doing so, you'll be able to achieve your best possible ATAR. Remember, you're building your academic muscles now so that you're ready for success in your tertiary studies. So to be eligible for an HSC in New South Wales, students must complete 12 units of HSC courses in Year 11 However, to be eligible for an ATAR, you'll need to complete 10 units of board-developed HSC courses, including 2 units of English, 3 board-developed HSC courses of 2 units or greater, and 4 subject areas. The ATAR stands for Australian Tertiary Admissions Rank. It's all about your overall position. It's a number between 0 and 99.95, and the sole purpose of the ATAR is so universities can use it to rank and select students for their courses, in particular their very competitive courses. Some universities will use your ATAR in conjunction with other criteria, such as a portfolio, an audition, an interview, or a personal statement. There's also early entry schemes where universities use things other than the ATAR for entry consideration, such as Year 11 results, school recommendations, or evidence of extracurricular activities or leadership. The preparation you put into your work during Year 11 and 12 will define your success, not just your ATAR, which serves as an entry point. Now, we calculate your ATAR using your scaled marks, and these aren't shared with you. To calculate your ATAR, we require you to have completed at least 10 units of ATAR-eligible courses. We convert all your 2-unit courses into single units and consider your best 2 units of English, followed by the next best 8 units of scaled marks. We always use your highest scaled marks to ensure that you get the best possible ATAR. Now, the first step that we do to calculate the ATAR is scaling. If all students studied the same HSC courses, we wouldn't need to scale. We could just compare all the results in all the same courses, then rank every student from highest to lowest. Remember, ATAR is reporting a student's rank based on their HSC performances. As there are so many different combinations of courses completed by Year 12 students across New South Wales, scaling is the tool we use that allows us to compare everyone's results properly and fairly. The reason we have scaling is because we don't want any student to be advantaged or disadvantaged by their subject choices. We want you all to choose courses for Year 11 and 12 that you enjoy, maybe that you have a natural ability or aptitude in, and importantly, courses that will set you up for your university studies. Keep in mind that scaling is based on the academic ability of students within each course. The scaled mean or average of a course indicates the strength of the competition, so the ability of students who have completed those courses. Choosing a course that has a high or a low scaled mean doesn't mean you'll automatically get a high or a low ATAR. The course is irrelevant. Please do not choose courses based on any perceived scaling advantage. To achieve an above average ATAR, you'll need to be achieving above average results in all your HSC courses, not just one. Now meet our 2 students, Fred and Laura. Looking at their results helps us understand the HSC reports on a student's performance and the ATAR reports on a student's position. Fred achieved HSC marks of 70 for all his courses, and Laura achieved HSC marks of 80 for all the same courses. Only a 10-point difference, but if we look at their ATARs, there's a difference of 20. Now keep in mind, HSC results report on performance and ATAR reports on position. Let's break it down by looking at 2 courses. Fred's performance of 70 in biology placed him in the 39th percentile of students, which means 61% of students achieved a higher mark than 70 in HSC biology. Whereas Laura, her performance of 80 placed her better. She's in the 71st percentile, so only 29% of students achieved a higher mark than 80 in this course. We can see that the median HSC mark was 74. Fred and Laura sit either side of this mark. For English Advanced, Fred's performance of 70 placed him in the bottom 6% of students, which means that 94% of students achieved a higher mark than 70 in English Advanced. Laura's performance of 80 placed her better. She's still below the HSC mean, which was 83, but she's placed better, and this will be reflected in her ATAR. In 2023, the median ATAR was 71.05. Fred's ATAR or position sits in the lower side of the median ATAR because he performed in the bottom 50% of students for all his courses. And Laura, her ATAR or position sits on the higher side of that median ATAR because she performed mostly in the top 50 percentile of students for all her courses. Now, it's important to remember that your ATAR will be calculated using an average of your Year 12 assessment results and your HSC exam results for all your courses. UAC receives your results from NESA to calculate ATARs. You can also see a few HSC marks can make a big difference to your ATAR, so work hard for every mark. So, when you get to thinking about choosing subjects for Year 11 and 12, there's a few things we'd like you to consider. Firstly, think about future goals. Think about your current interests, any future career you might want to have, what you're good at, and any future study that may interest you. Of all the HSC courses that are offered at your school, think about which courses interest you. Will the courses lead you to being ATAR eligible? Are they a good foundation for success at university? And will they satisfy any university course prerequisites? A course prerequisite is a subject that you must have studied during your HSC to be considered eligible for admission into that university course. Some universities may have prerequisites for a very few of their more challenging courses, so it's important to research and check that you've chosen subjects in Year 11 and Year 12 that will meet any prerequisites for the university course that you may be interested in. There's also something called assumed knowledge. Assumed knowledge is something that can prepare you for success in your future university studies. Even if you haven't studied the subject that the university calls assumed knowledge, it doesn't stop you from receiving an offer to the course if you meet the selection rank. However, when you see assumed knowledge listed as a requirement for a university course, this means that the university assumes that you have taken that HSC course. As a result, they will start teaching that course with the HSC as a foundation. For example, if you haven't taken biology and you enroll in a university degree that has biology listed as assumed knowledge, the professors will start teaching from that HSC level and above. So you may find the course content a little more challenging at university if you haven't taken biology within the HSC. Then there's something called recommended studies. It's important to consider recommended studies when selecting your HSC courses. If you haven't taken the recommended studies, it won't prevent you from getting into your desired course. It just will mean that if you meet the selection rank, you'll still be offered a position. However, recommended studies will be helpful and relevant for your future studies. So when you're researching universities and their degree programs, make sure to investigate course prerequisites and the HSC courses that are recommended and assumed by the university. So, to prepare for subject selection, there's a few things you can do. Firstly, research future careers and relevant courses. Then think about what would you like to do for employment and what degree you might like to pursue at university. Consider your abilities and interests to identify subjects that align with them. If you're a bit unsure about your interests or your strengths, speak to your teachers and they can provide insights into the classes you excel in. Research entry requirements such as prerequisites, assume knowledge for the degree that you're interested in. These HSC courses will help you when you start studying at university, especially in your first year. Finally, be prepared to work hard in your chosen HSC subjects. Please keep in mind that your ATAR reflects your position relative to other students in your year group across the state, regardless of how well you perform in your individual classes. What next? So in Year 10, you'll be able to choose the courses you'd like to take for your HSC. It's really important to work hard in Year 11 and successfully complete 12 units of HSC courses. If you plan on applying for any early entry programs, your Year 11 course results may determine whether you receive an offer or not. Now, in Year 12, you need to check that you're going to meet the eligibility criteria for an ATAR. You'll also be able to submit your UAC application and investigate early entry applications and apply for the School Recommendation Scheme, Equity Scholarships, and the Educational Access Scheme. As you make your subject selection decisions, it's important to keep in mind that the ATAR is a rank, not a mark. It's just one of the ways to gain admission to university. To achieve your best results, it's crucial to choose courses that you enjoy and excel in. To explore all your options, you can take the time to research the university websites and the UAC website. Ask your careers advisors lots of questions and definitely attend a university open day. We wish you all the best with your decision-making process. If you have any further questions, please feel free to contact UAC.
Thanks, Wendy. Earlier this week, we heard from 2 UNSW students. They're here to tell us about their journey to uni. Over to you.
Hi, my name's Jason and I'm currently studying electrical engineering in my 4th year.
Hi, my name is Gaia and I'm in 3rd year medical science.
And we're here to take you through our journey from year 10 into university.
So let's take it back. Where did it all begin?
So for me, it started in year 10 and I started thinking about my subject selection. So Gaia, did you think about the subjects you're about to choose in year 10?
I certainly did. I knew I wanted to do STEM, so I was very certain that I should be taking science and maths. I was a little bit skeptical about doing science because I'm not very good at science, but I went with my passions and I'm doing science now, so no regrets. What about you, Jason?
It's very similar for me as well. So I always thought about doing engineering, but I didn't know what engineering I wanted it to do. So I dabbled my skills in engineering studies while also taking a lot of history, which was my main passion at the time.
So essentially when I was picking my subjects, I was trying to set myself up for uni and my future career. What about you, Jason?
So I instead chose to pursue my passion and did a lot of history subjects. However, I didn't do physics and I was very worried of my future as an engineering student.
Don't fear, UNSW does not have any prerequisites. We only have assumed knowledge, which basically means the lecturers expect you to have a baseline knowledge, and it's really just there to make your life easier. So if you're trying to do engineering, it might be a good idea to have done some maths.
So for my example, I did not do physics, but I took a physics bridging course before I started my degree. And that helped me gain my understanding before I started university to put me on a level playing ground with everyone else.
UNSW offers bridging courses in maths, physics, and chemistry.
So what if I'm not sure of what subjects I want to do and what I want to study in university?
Come along to our experience days to gain a little bit more insight into what aligns with your interests.
Now, we're in year 11. We've chosen our subjects. Gaia, do you have any tips for our year 11 students?
Yeah, I'd say group study is really beneficial. Also utilize your teachers, they're there to help. And don't be afraid to ask questions. How about you, Jason? What did you do to navigate year 11?
In year 11, I chose to do a lot of extracurricular activities to give my brain a break away from books. With that, I did basketball and also Air Force Cadets, which allowed me to gain a lot of skill in year 11 when I did my HSC in year 12.
Extracurriculars are also a great way to expand your horizon. UNSW offers the Elite Athletes, Leaders and Performers Scheme, which are adjustment factors that are basically extra ATAR points that can make it easier for you to get into your dream degree.
It's also a good idea to go ahead and look at our UNSW websites for our scholarship and accommodation options. You're finally there. You're now in year 12. You probably think about all the opportunities and courses in university and what's life after high school. So Gaia, how'd you navigate year 12?
Personally, I knew what I wanted to do, but I did find the UNSW guide very helpful. It's also a good idea to have a look at the UNSW Course Finder page for more information on what you might be studying in certain courses, as well as future career paths if you're interested. How about you, Jason?
So I came through the Gateway admission pathway in my transition into university. I would also highly recommend to take a look or research all our adjustment factor points available. So for example, HSC Plus is to award bonus adjustment factor points for high achieving students. EAPL, our Elite Athletes Performance Scheme, as previously mentioned, is for our curricular activities and our sporting achievement students as well, and also our EAS for any disadvantages experienced during high school.
If you don't get into your dream degree, don't worry. UNSW also offers the internal program transfer, where you can apply to transfer from one degree to another.
Still curious about UNSW and want to experience a day in the life of a university student?
Consider coming to our open day on the first Saturday of September, where you can attend lectures, speak one-on-one with academics, and get a ton of freebies. What was your favourite part about open day, Jason?
My favourite part was definitely the Messena gelato store, when I came home and went home with a belly full of gelato and free food. Gaia, what's your advice for Year 12 students?
First of all, I'd say don't stress. UNSW has a ton of admission pathways which you can take advantage of, and it's a really great idea to start researching them now. What about you, Jason?
I would highly recommend to ask all the questions you can as well to gain a direct and clear path in your pathway after high school. I'd also recommend to lean onto your fellow friends and ask all the questions for your career advisors so they can give you guidance.
So, now you're in uni. You're probably wondering what to expect. Jason, what's your favourite part about uni life?
My favourite part about uni life is the vibrant social life that we do have on campus and also the flexibility. I used to thought that in year 12 that university was 9 to 5 from period 0 to 6. I found out it was not the case, and now I can choose to do afternoon classes in 3 o'clock and have a little sleep in because I study better in the afternoon. So Gaia, what about you?
Personally, I love all the clubs and societies on campus. I was part of the Musical Theatre Society, and I actually became president of it last year. I thought it was a really good opportunity for me to get out of my comfort zone and try something new. What about you, Jason?
So during high school, I enjoyed playing pool a lot with my friends. I found out that through university, there was a society called QSOC, and now I go to the events weekly, joining social pool events and also our competition events as well.
That sounds great. UNSW actually has over 300 societies, from Tea and Coffee Society to Quidditch Society, so there's plenty of opportunities to get involved and try something new.
So other than career prospects, what's the most important thing that you've learned about university?
Personally, I found independence to be a really valuable tool at university because it's just not as personalised as high school. So it's on you to find the resources and reach out when you need help. What about you, Jason? What did you think?
The most important part I've learned about university was how to make meaningful connections with professional industry and also lifelong friends that you keep and maintain throughout your whole life. Thanks for watching. We hope our journey from year 10 to university has inspired you to start your own journey.
We hope you enjoy the rest of the Year 10 information evening, and we hope to see you on campus soon.
Now, I'm going to talk to you about the HSC subject selection and UNSW specifically. You will be pleased to hear UNSW does not have prerequisites. We have assumed knowledge. Essentially, assumed knowledge means UNSW will commence teaching you in belief you have studied that certain subject in high school. So for example, advanced mathematics is assumed knowledge for the Bachelor of Commerce. If you commence in this particular degree and started your mathematics course at UNSW, it will be assumed that you have studied this area during your HSC or have a level of that understanding to commence that mathematics course. If you haven't studied this subject in Year 11 and 12, it's not going to prevent you from entering this degree. Perhaps you fit into the ideal scenario and you're interested in the assumed knowledge subjects that are outlined in the UNSW degree, and therefore choose them in Year 11 and 12, and you will have covered that level of assumed knowledge. Of course, we understand you don't always go according to plan. You may choose subjects now for Year 11 and 12 that don't match your final degree choice, and that's okay. Decisions can change along the way. UNSW understands. On that note, UNSW does provide support for those wishing to equip themselves with that level of assumed knowledge. Students can take bridging courses in mathematics, physics, chemistry, to build up that level of knowledge. Alongside the bridging courses, UNSW also have other great support services such as peer mentoring or tutoring. So, reiterating what Wendy from UAC said earlier about the HSC course structure. As we now know, all courses have a unit value for the HSC. It's kind of similar to university as well, so you'll get used to that concept now, and then that will help you throughout your university journey too. Most courses in the HSC are 2 units, which equate to 120 hours of study, and the HSC result of 100. For example, for the subject Advanced Maths, it's a 2-unit course. You are expected to study 120 hours. Then we have other courses that are 1 unit, and that would be the equivalent to 60 hours of study, and a HSC result out of 50. So an example of a 1-unit course would be Extension English or Extension Math. To recap, in Year 11, you are to take a minimum of 12 units, and in Year 12, a minimum of 10 units, which means you could take more courses in Year 11 and then decide if you continue that load of study or if you want to free up some time to have more focus on those Year 12 subjects. For the HSC requirements, both Year 11 and 12 pattern of study must include at least 6 units of board development courses and at least 4 different kinds of subjects, including English. So let me give you an example. A student may select a 2-unit advanced English course. Then they might stack it with English Extension 1, which is a 1 unit, and then stack it with English Extension 2, which is another 1 unit. This student now has a total of 4 units within English that apply to a 10-unit course. So the student now must explore 3 different subjects to study. This will then tally to a total of 10 units for the HSC. Now, it's good to note for those who are passionate about science, you can only take a maximum of 6 units of science in Year 11 and a maximum of 7 in the Year 12 study pattern. Also, good to be aware that some courses have prerequisites in them, and you can find out more on the NESA website, which is listed below. What are the different types of HSC courses, you may ask? Well, there are 2 main types of courses to know about. First is board development courses, which is a formulated standard curriculum developed by NESA. If you select a board development course, you will find that the course content is uniformed throughout each high school, meaning you will do the same work and sit the same HSC examination as your friend who might be attending another school, but studied the same board development course. Secondly, board endorsed courses are slightly different. They do not have HSC examinations. They focus on school-based assessments. NESA has endorsed the course, but they haven't necessarily created a curriculum across the whole state that is uniformed from school to school. So how does the HSC marks work? The HSC mark is a combination of internal assessment and external examination. Internal assessments are all those assessments you'll complete in Year 12 tallied up. Each assessment report is sent to NESA, who will apply these marks against your external examination results. Once both results are combined, your high school certificate report marks get sent over to UAC, and they then calculate your ATAR. Let's dive into satisfactory completion of a course. Students must follow the course developed or endorsed by NESA. Apply themselves with due diligence and sustained effort to the set tasks and experiences provided in the course by the school. Achieve some or all of the course outcomes. VET board developed courses require students to complete a mandatory work placement. So please be mindful if you are selecting one of these courses that you do know the requirements. Now, students need to demonstrate the minimum standard in literacy and numeracy to be eligible for the high school certificate. You will be passing online tests of basic literacy and numeracy skills throughout Year 10, 11 and 12. These tests are broken into 3 different areas: reading, numeracy, and writing. If you are wanting further details, please refer to the NESA website for more information. But UNSW Future Students team have a whole plethora of resources available for parents, students, and schools. Now, with technology constantly evolving, AI in the forefront, it is crucial for your work to remain authentic and acknowledge those information sources you lean on. HSC All My Own Work is a mandatory program designed to help HSC students to follow the principles and practices of good scholarship. It consists of 5 modules: scholarship principles and practices, acknowledging sources, plagiarism, copyright, and working with others. These are key skill sets to embed now into your studies, as you will need these throughout university studies too. To wrap up, my final piece of advice for Year 10 students when considering course selection. Reflect on your abilities. These will be your strengths. Dive into your interests and motivations. It is a more empowering journey to select a course you know that motivates and interests you. Studying this course will come naturally. Think about the future. What are your career aspirations and needs? Does this course match that vision? It's important to review the syllabus requirements for each course too. Are you ready to do a major or practical work component? Perhaps you want balance. Look at your subject combinations and see how they speak to each other. Finally, take into consideration your commitments. How many hours do you have outside of school to decide time towards these courses? It's important to take this opportunity to reflect and plan for yourself, to map out how you envision your high school certificate, and ensure you prepare yourself for the best possible outcome. You will thank yourself later. We're now going to hear from our current UNSW students, Mitch and Kirti, about how their journey was from HSC to uni. I'll throw it over to you guys to introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about that story and that journey. Kirti?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Kitty. I'm currently in my 4th year of chemical engineering at UNSW. A little bit about my journey. Had a pretty traditional, like a domestic student to university journey, but what was a little bit different was I was class of 2020, which is otherwise known as a COVID year. So I was really excited for a fresh start in university because things were just going to be like back to normal-ish. We were going to go back and have like a normal week, go and like socialize with people. So I was excited for that, excited for all the new opportunities that would come my way in university.
Yeah. Nice. Mitch?
Hi, I'm Mitch. I'm doing a Bachelor of Commerce and a Bachelor of Arts. I'm also in my 4th year. My journey was relatively standard as well. I remember being very scared and, the whole idea of uni being very daunting at that time. I was also really excited though. So it was a great time, a great opportunity to be able to move forward into the next chapter and to see what that would, hold for me. So yes, I remember being an absolute nervous wreck on my first day, but then kind of settling in after that.
So it's exciting to know that you're about to start that whole new journey, new chapter.
Sure.
But definitely understand the pressures around that. So let's take it back before we dive into your HSC subjects and that whole decision-making process. Tell me a bit about what your dream was as a 15-year-old.
Okay, so as a 15-year-old, I was a bit of a dreamer. I had a couple drafts for what I wanted to be. So the first draft was accountant. I really liked math in this period of my life, and I was like, can't wait to learn algebra. So then I wanted to do accounting and then figured out, actually, maybe I do like science a little bit more. So I was like, anything within the medical field would be amazing. Doctor, nurse, even like a lab-based role like radiologist, pathologist, something like that. And then figured out going into like more close to like end of year 10, was like, actually I like science and math equally. Did my research a little bit on what are the options, like do I want to do pure science, pure math, or like a mix of both? And I chose a mix of both, and that's why I landed on engineering, and ever since then I don't think I've had any regrets. I like my degree. Yeah.
What about
Awesome.
you, Mitch?
Well, when I was 15, I wanted to be a writer. That was something that I was really passionate about at the time and still am. And also I was thinking about being a university academic of some sorts, perhaps in, the area of business or something like that. So kind of having, those two ideas around.
Yeah.
And, still pretty much hold them to this day as well.
Yeah, nice. Two completely different fields. I love that. So now to year 10 and trying to make that dream come true, could you let us know, what subjects you did finally choose for year 11 and 12?
Cool. So for year 11, I chose Advanced English, Mathematics Extension 1, Chemistry, Biology, and IPT, which is Information Process and Technology, and also Studies of Religion, which is 1 unit. So that made up my 12 units. Going into year 12, I decided to drop Studies of Religion. So I did only 11 units for my HSC. This is just to focus more for biology, because biology and Studies of Religion are content heavy. So I was like, I'd rather focus for biology, and that's why I dropped it. So yeah.
Yeah, nice. What about you, Mitch? Those final subjects?
Well, I pretty much did the opposite. So I did English Advanced, I did English Extension 1, I did French, Engineering Studies, Business, and Economics in year 11. In year 12, I picked up Extension 2 English, so I had 14 at that time, and then I dropped down to 10 by dropping French and Engineering Studies. So for my HSC, I did 4-unit English, Business Studies, Economics, and Maths Advanced.
Yeah, wow. Incredible. I guess what were your favourite subjects and why?
I would say my top favorite subject was chemistry. This was because the first big motivator was my teacher. I had a really good teacher for chemistry. Always kept us motivated, and that also motivated me to do really good in that subject. And the second is chemistry was like a nice middle ground of like science, and like theory and lab and also math. So it had like a really good mix compared to like biology, which is a bit more content heavy. And that's why I like chemistry. Yeah.
Love it.
Awesome. My favourite subject definitely was English Extension 2 by far. It was great to have that autonomy to be able to do whatever I wanted to do within the parameters of English. And it was great to have that prep for uni as well. So, the major work was around 4,000 to 5,000 words, did an essay. So, that's kind of akin to doing, 2 or 3 essays in a subject or, in a term here. So it was great to, have that prep and have that capacity to be able to write that much at that volume.
Did you guys lean on anyone or chat with anyone to kind of come to that decision making?
Yeah, for sure. I think the two main support systems that I approached to make these decisions was first my parents and my teachers. So my parents, it was mostly just a discussion of like what I'm thinking, and mostly I just wanted like reassurance and like a little bit of encouragement from them. And so glad to say that I did get that, and it was really refreshing to get that as well. And with my teachers, it was more about like a realistic discussion about like, hey, do you think this difficulty of a subject is suitable for me? Do you think I would be able to do like good, like should I do advanced maths versus extension 1? Like, what do you think? And they gave me really good insights, and again, that encouragement and reassurance that, you should be able to do it. And also that little bit like, it's not the end of the world. You can always drop and, have that little bit of flexibility.
Yeah, I was pretty much the same as well. Both my brothers pretty much did the same subjects as I did in high school. So got great insight from them as to, what it was like studying those subjects. I also spoke to my English teacher as well a lot about what English was going to look like over, the next 2 years. What are the possibilities with Extension 2? What can you do with it? And getting some feedback as well on, my major work from there.
Yeah, I love that. And it's also good to have that balance of, realistic conversations and then also that future vision conversation as well.
Yeah,
so I love that. So what's your advice on what not to do when selecting subjects?
I think my top advice of what not to do is don't do subjects just because your friends are doing it. Don't be pre-pressured into doing anything that you don't want to do or you don't like doing. It doesn't just have to be friends. It could also be your parents that might be, for like pushing you to do a subject that you don't really like. Just introspect, just think about what you like, what you want to do, what you see yourself doing, and also think about what you enjoyed in year 9 and 10 and make a decision off of that.
For sure. I definitely agree. I think you should avoid doing subjects because they're perceived as easy or, they scale well. I would recommend that you do things that you're passionate about and that you're really good at. So, if you do a subject because it scales well and then, you don't do very well in it and you don't like the subject, it's not going to pay off for you. So definitely focus on what you're passionate about and what you're good at as well.
Yeah, and both great insights. You guys have already lived it, so it's good that you're passing on this knowledge. To finish it off, if you had one piece of advice to give your Year 10 self, what would that be?
So the biggest advice that I would give to my Year 10 self would be don't stress, not the end of the world, and also ask for help. I wish I asked for more help from my teachers, and just recognizing that teachers are only there to literally like help you. So go up to them, ask for help, and don't stress too much, not the end of the world. There's a lot of flexibility outside of HSC, and finally you'll get through it. Yes.
Yeah, that's great. I think for me, I would say to my Year 10 self, don't stress, don't panic. There is light at the end of the HSC tunnel. And maybe consider not doing advanced maths and pick up geography instead.
I love that, reflecting on yourself. Well, thank you so much, Kirti and Mitch. You've given our audience some great insights. We're going to throw now to the Q&A panel, so we're excited to see your questions. Thank you all so much for popping in your questions in the chat. We have just been scrolling through and I can see we've got some really good ones here. So let me have a little look. Oh, okay. Here's a good one. I want to study commerce at university. Where are some things I could do in Year 11 and 12 to set myself up for this path? Mitch, I think you're probably the best one to speak with.
Yeah, I can answer that. Look, I think a really great start is doing Maths Advanced. So for commerce, Maths Advanced is assumed knowledge. So that will really set you up in terms of doing the sort of statistics and everything of the sorts with that. I think as well from a personal experience that business studies and economics really set me up well for understanding, how to evaluate business problems, how do businesses function and things like that. So, if you are interested in commerce, you're most likely going to be interested in doing business studies or economics. So I would recommend, giving those a go and seeing how that kind of goes for you.
And did you do those for Year 11 and 12?
I did, yes.
Yeah?
I did both business studies and economics and can safely say that, even though it's not assumed knowledge or anything like that, and you don't need to do those subjects, it is definitely helpful to have that sort of prior knowledge.
And did you find that it helped within that first year of study, that transition?
It definitely did. It just helped with understanding core business functions and how they work, which is kind of what you focus on in your integrated first year courses for commerce.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, cool. I've got another one here. Maybe as well, Mitch, something you can speak to too. What subject should I take in Year 11 and 12 if I want to get into the UNSW Med program?
Interesting question. Well, the only assumed knowledge for our Med program is English Standard. So you just need to make sure that you're doing at least English Standard. Really, I would focus on doing something that you're passionate about and that you'll enjoy. That will give you the best chance to maximize your ATAR. If you are interested in medicine, you're most likely interested in, something of the sciences. So I'd recommend having a look at the science, courses that you can do. But yeah, really focus on doing what you're passionate about and what you're good at. That will kind of maximize your ATAR in that area. But just making sure that you're doing English Standard at least.
Yeah, and that's some really good insight. I might throw this over to Kirti because it is an engineering question. So I know engineering is maths heavy. But do I have to study extension maths to get into UNSW engineering degree?
Cool. That's a great question again. You don't have to do extension math to get into engineering. So as we have said many times in this presentation, UNSW does not have any prerequisites. We only have assumed knowledge. So although extension maths is assumed knowledge for engineering, that just means your lecturer is going to assume that you have that level of study or you have done that level of study in HSC and they're going to teach with that assumption. It just really sets you up for success, as we've mentioned. But again, to answer the question, it's not necessary. And to add on to that, we also have bridging courses that we offer at UNSW in physics, chemistry, and maths. So if you're a little bit scared, I would also look into the bridging courses to just make sure that you're 100% going into engineering. Yeah.
Do you have any friends or yourself? Did you do bridging courses at all or any tutoring or those extra support?
No, I personally did extension math at, in my HSC, so I didn't really look into that. I did look into bridging course for physics because I didn't really do physics in my HSC. And for my degree, which is chemical engineering, physics was assumed knowledge. But I did some further research, and turns out I only had to do one physics course for my degree. So I was like, maybe it's not super necessary for me to do a bridging course, and I was confident enough that I would probably be able to cope with that level of physics. And it was only first year physics, so I thought a little bit of YouTube, a little bit of help from my lecturers, a little bit of help from my friends would do great.
Yeah, love that. Okay, we've got another one coming in, probably more for the UAC side, Wendy. Is it true your marks can get scaled down depending on what school you attended?
No, that is absolutely not true, Gabby. We don't scale according to what school that anyone attends. We actually use the marks of each student within that subject to do the scaling. And remember, ATAR is representing your position statewide. So it's not just within your class or your school, it's every single student that has taken that subject. So the school does not come into the calculation of the ATAR or scaling whatsoever.
Okay, so this one is a bit of a broad question, but I might pass it over to you, Mitch. Question is, does UNSW have early entry?
Look, in short answer, no, we don't have early entry. We do, however, have some early conditional offer schemes. So if you're interested in studying a degree in art, design, architecture, or the Faculty of Engineering, you can submit a portfolio and receive an early conditional offer based off that portfolio. You still need to finish your HSC and receive an ATAR for that. We also do have our Gateway Admissions Scheme. So this is an opportunity for students to also receive an early conditional offer based off their Year 11 results. But there is still that need to complete the HSC and receive an ATAR. So yes, short answer, no, we don't offer any early entry per se, but we do have some schemes to assist you in getting into UNSW.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's good to be aware that Year 11 results, make the effort whilst you're in Year 11 and then go through for Year 12. It's laying down that groundwork. All right, I might pull up another question. This one, maybe Kirti, you can speak to. Does UNSW have any exchange opportunities? And if so, are there any restrictions on what courses/years you can take and exchange?
Okay. Great question. So UNSW does have exchange opportunities. We have tons of exchange opportunities actually. We have about 300 plus partners overseas in over 35 countries. So you can imagine how many opportunities we have. And in terms of when you can do your exchange, pretty much anytime you're a student at UNSW. There are some restrictions, but I wouldn't say restrictions, they're just like conditions. So there's obviously some WAM requirements that you need to have, which is just your uni grade requirements, just so you can maximize your chances of getting into the host university, which is your overseas university. And you also need to have about roughly 18 units of credit left over in your degree. This is just so you can have your credits transferred from your overseas university to UNSW, just so it counts for your degree. In saying that, it's a great opportunity. You should consider looking into it. Just exchange is amazing. If you have the capacity in your degree to do it, please do consider it. And
it just gives you that extra level of growth.
Exactly.
And then you can apply it more to your studies as well, which is an amazing opportunity.
Yeah.
This is a good one, and I think it's quite authentic as well. So I'll throw it to both of you. I love sport and do a lot of it outside of school. I don't want to give these up. So what do you recommend to balance out my studies and the extra curriculum whilst going through Year 11 and 12?
It's an interesting question. You want to go first?
Yes.
Yeah. So in terms of, how to balance that, it's definitely not the idea of getting rid of things to, do your study. It's just about finding good time management skills to be able to work on both. You've really got to find that balance in your life between, your study and things that you enjoy as well. So I would recommend that to anyone who's, doing, sport or any sort of other activities outside of their studies, to continue those during Year 11 and Year 12, because they are definitely a great time to take your mind off your study and focus on something else for a little while.
I definitely agree with everything Mitch said. If you need a couple tools that help you, definitely Google Calendar is a big one. You're going to continue using it in uni. just look into some study techniques as well, like Pomodoro technique. But yeah, just time management is the biggest thing. So if you haven't already heard, we have a scheme of entry, or like you get bonus points from being an elite athlete. So if you're really into sport, you've played like national level or something like that, just look into that application process. You might get adjustment factors that count towards your selection rank.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, it's not like giving up something you love, and it is nice to be able to balance it all in. It's also a good distraction from your study as well, and it will probably continue that motivation to study as well. And then on top of that, you've got those adjustment factor schemes as well coming into play. So great points. We do have a little UAC questions also popping in. So Wendy, here's one. Do I submit my UAC course preferences before receiving my ATAR?
Oh, well, we're really jumping ahead here because you can't actually submit your UAC application or your course preferences until you're in Year 12. But what you do is you don't wait for your ATAR to arrive. Usually we'll send your PIN to Year 12 students in April of your Year 12 year. Then you'll submit your application, and we always encourage students to apply as early as they can in the early bird fee period. And then students can change their preferences as many times as they wish, even after they get their ATAR. So a lot of students do, they get their ATAR and they think, I'm going to try for something, maybe that has a higher selection rate because I've done so well, and they'll change their preferences after ATAR. But the main point is you'll actually apply and put your initial preferences in pretty early in the April of your Year 12 year.
It's good to see people are so ready and prepared.
Yeah, it's keen, very keen.
Very keen. I think this is a lovely question to, I guess, wrap up, and you can probably both speak to this, Kirti and Mitch. Other than career options, what are the values of going to university?
Okay, I'll go first. So obviously I think university just really gives you a lot of life skills that you can learn, like lifelong skills. You get a lot of freedom from little things like you get to choose your own timetable. There is no, compulsion to come into university every single day and, be here 9 to 3, unlike, school. So yeah, the freedom is the biggest part, and you get to do a lot of things you love whilst also studying. And I think that was one of my biggest motivations to come to university. I really liked the fact that I could get involved in a lot of different areas like volunteering and like just fun stuff, and also focus on my degree and more academic stuff like getting my thesis done or like doing a research project and stuff like that.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think as well, it really builds you as a person. It's a great opportunity to understand who you are and what you want to do with your life. Also a great place to meet really awesome people as well. There's a lot of people on campus, and if you go to any of our clubs and societies that we've got that you might be interested in, they're a great place to meet people who are like-minded, doing the things that you're interested in, and, also, or maybe studying the things that you're studying as well. So yeah, definitely outside of just, getting a degree and going into your career, it is, university is a place for you to understand who you are and what you want to be, and also develop those skills and develop those lifelong skills that will help you in your career and also in your personal life as well.
Love it. I think they're all very valuable points. Thank you, everybody, for submitting your questions. That's all we have time for today, and we hope you've enjoyed this Year 10 information session on subject selection.